Hello, 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 and welcome. My name is Sabrina Victoria. I am the host here at Her Talk Show. I have Daniela here today. We're going to be talking all about mind shift magic and unlocking happiness. Super excited about this topic. Get comfortable. We're going to explore the triumphs, the challenges faced by women worldwide. We're going to be offering insights and inspiration to fuel not only your personal, but also your professional growth. Let's jump right in.
Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Hello and welcome. If you're listening live, I already see you jumping on. Thank you for being here. If you're listening on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay, drop it in the comments wherever you're at so we can show you some love later on. We are here every day delving deep into the realms of health, wealth, and leadership with some of the most brilliant women globally. We've interviewed over 600 women, and today we are adding another one to the list. We have Daniela. She is a Venezuelan-born artist turned life coach. She has adapted her passion for transforming matter into beautiful and meaningful objects and challenging people's preconceived notions into helping young people improve their self-esteem and create a positive outlook for the future. In 2012, Daniela moved with her family to the USA, and in 2022, she became a certified life and health coach. Welcome, lady.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Sabrina.
Yes, thank you for being here. I so appreciate it. So before we delve in, I have a question about this mind shift magic.
Yes.
What does this mean, mind shift magic?
So mind shift magic is that at any given point in time, you are the one that decides if your mindset and if your mind is going negative on a low or is going on a high. Yeah, it's you that decides it. It's nobody else that is imposing it. And we all have the power to decide it if we choose to realize what is going on with us.
Ooh, okay. We're already diving deep. So you're telling me
Yes.
that we have control over our mindset. So what if our spouse is making us real angry?
Okay.
They are making us angry.
Okay.
So, what does this mean?
So what does that mean? That means what is like is the spouse making you're the one that's feeling the anger, right? Out of reaction to something that your spouse is doing. So it's a matter of looking and seeing, is this something that I'm feeling, that I'm reacting to because it's real? Like, or is it a story that I made up that they're trying to annoy me? So there's a lot of stories that we make up every day. Some of them, to be honest, we make them up so we can blame others for how we feel and not take responsibility for it. Ooh. And it's convenient, to say, no, it's their fault. I would be happy without them. But it's not necessarily that way. If you look deep inside, it's possible that you might not be happy if they were not triggering you. Believe it or not, there are people that get used to thinking that happiness means being triggered all the time. So it does happen. And, it's a matter of you looking inside of you. What is going on? How come I'm feeling this way? But the first thing is to decide that you want to look inside of you, that you decide that you want to take responsibility and not put the responsibility on situations or on life. I mean, something that you could say, yes, is upsetting me. If something happens, for example, if you are in an accident, then whatever you're feeling at that moment, a physical thing that you're feeling is an accident that you were involved in. And yes, you are feeling that. Now, whether you're going to use that accident the rest of your life as an excuse not to do many things or as an excuse to do more things is up to you.
So we can use our stories,
yes,
as excuses for good or for bad.
Yes. It's just a matter of the interpretation you want to take.
Okay, I love this. So we're talking about stories. Now, I'm trying to allow individuals who maybe have no idea about personal development
Yeah.
to really pull them into the conversation. We already have a ton of people watching live. I'm
Yes.
certain that maybe only 50% of them have any idea what we're talking about when we're saying
Okay.
making up stories. So
Okay.
how does somebody make up a story? Like I just kind of gave you the scenario of like my spouse is making me angry.
Yes.
So give an example of like what does that mean? I'm making
Okay.
up a story because it to me it's
Hmm.
reality. This is not a story. This is really happening in real life. My spouse is making me super angry.
Oh,
So what do you mean by story?
okay. Let me see if I can explain it this way. So, what is not a story are facts as they are, right? I'll use an accident as I was referring to an accident before. If there is a car crash, right? There's one person standing on this side that looks at the car crash. They have a certain view of what happened, and that's the story that they're going to tell about the car crash. The person involved in the car crash from one side has a different view, and that's the story that they're going to take. It's a way we explain to others what is going on and what we're feeling. But
Mm,
the facts are, if you look at it, if a bird is looking at it, right, the bird doesn't have the ability perhaps to put those words into it. So the bird just sees this object and another object. So that the fact is two objects collided.
mm.
The rest of the things are stories.
I love that so much. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's just the facts, no
Just the
feelings.
facts. The
No
feelings,
feelings.
when we add feelings, that's the part when we are, when like people say, make it your own, you add your feelings. And that's the part where you can decide how you make it your own.
Yeah.
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 And that's the part also, like if you see now, since you were talking about a relationship, any type of relationship, it doesn't have to be only with a spouse, but with any family member or with a friend. If you see that in that relationship you're most often going into the same kind of situation and the same kind of feeling after the relationship, then it's time for you to take a look and see, okay, how am I viewing this person? Am I just listening to the person, or when I'm coming to listen to them, I'm already thinking, oh, they're going to annoy me again, they're going to say this again. So you're already coming like with this idea of what the person is going to be like, and the chances are you won't be able to experience them in any other way, because you can only experience what you expect to
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. This kind of reminds me when I first started this podcast years ago.
Hmm.
This podcast was called Her Version,
There you
meaning
go.
your version of your story. And the whole premise was storytelling, and that we all have the right to share our version of our story,
Yes.
even though it doesn't match, right? So I
Hmm.
have a story of a single momhood. I have a story of religion. I have a story of getting kicked out of my house. I have a story of narcissistic abuse, and I often would talk about, hey, listen, this is my version of the story.
Yes.
My version is totally different than like my parents' version, my religion's version, my ex's version. Their story is probably totally different than my story. But we all have the right to be able to share our version of our story, because
Yes.
that is actually what it is. I really like the analogy that you're giving of the crash, of the facts being two objects hit each other.
Yes.
That is the facts. Everything else around that. That's brilliant. Everything else around that is the story.
Yeah, now that's something that is easy to see if we're talking about something like a crash. But when we're talking about things that are going on more internally, like not being able to enjoy a situation because your thoughts keep taking you back to something that you didn't enjoy, then that's the point where the mindset shift comes in that I was talking about. And I can tell you, I was on holiday not so long ago with my family. I was in this beautiful beach in Thailand. And right at the time when I was there on the holiday, it was the time that in Venezuela, there was a lot of political turmoil. And I kept receiving messages from my friends about everything that was going on, everything that they were going through, their fears and that. And I was feeling really guilty, like guilty that I was experiencing this wonderful place and enjoying this beach that while they were in this situation. And I had to sit down, and just breathe and focus and said, I am here now. This is the only chance I'm going to get to be here. So I'm going to choose to be here and to focus on what is in front of me and not to be sucked in by these feelings that I should be suffering somehow because other people are suffering. Yeah. And it's a decision that one makes. Do I want to make my life miserable? If my suffering would change their situation, then it would be a different matter. But my suffering is not going to really change their situation. It's just going to change my situation.
Exactly.
So that's the only one I have control over.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. I know that one of the things that I talk about often just in my life, people have often mentioned, like, you get over things really quick, you pick yourself up really quick. And a lot of that is what that is. It's like you have a choice to be able to let one scenario ruin hours, days, weeks, months of your life, or you can realize something happens, feel the feelings, right? We're never saying like, don't feel the feelings, switch it down, right? Feel the feelings, but then you got to keep rolling. You got to keep moving. And we have the ability to be able to dictate how long we decide to stay in certain mindsets.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And like when you get to a certain age that you've had some experiences, it might be easier to realize that that's the case. But when we're talking about younger people, they often don't realize that they have that option. Yeah. And they're more perhaps stuck in what is going on at the moment, in their thoughts at the moment, and find it more difficult to get out of that shift. And that's why I really enjoy working with the young people, is to make them realize that they are the ones that can guide how they feel.
Yeah. So when we're talking about, I can see this slowly unraveling to the main topic of which we were talking about, which is unlocking happiness.
Yes.
So we're kind of like taking our audience on a journey here. So everything that we just said, how does really stepping into this new knowing of we can actually dictate our feelings, how does this unlock happiness for individuals?
Okay, so the main way I see that it unlocks happiness is that when you're unhappy, if you realize when you're unhappy, most of the time you're unhappy because you're longing for something that you lost, or you're wanting to achieve something in the future that you're not sure if you're going to be able to achieve. So you start telling yourselves, once again, the story theme, we start telling ourselves, no, it's going to be too difficult. I'm not going to make it. I'm not. So we're already putting ourselves in the negative, but we're not enjoying what is right in front of us. So happiness can exist only in the present. Like if you're in your present moment, if you're right here sitting down and you are enjoying what you're doing, or even if you're not enjoying, you can always find something enjoyable. We can always find something enjoyable. I can tell you that, for example, I really hate, I have two cats, and I apologize if someone doesn't like this, but I really hate cleaning up their kitty litter. I mean, it's quite disgusting. So, so at a certain point, I said, what can I do so I don't get so upset by it? So I said, okay, I'll imagine that they are like these Martians from outer space and they're bombs, and just have a play with how big a bomb and would they have wiped out the planet or not? Just getting into that shift kind of, makes it more bearable, because I'm going to have to do it anyway. So you might as well make it fun.
That's so cool.
It's how you just, I know some people find it weird, and that's fine.
That is so cool. I would never have thought of that. That's awesome. You talk a lot about truth and realities
Yes.
and how they are made up terms. I'd love for you to dive into
Yes.
that a little bit.
Well, in the same way that we were talking before about the car crash,
Okay.
right? So, in that moment of the car crash, what is true for the spectator is what they saw. Yeah. What is true for the person in the crash is what they saw. And what is true for the bird is what it saw. So there are three different truths there, which mean three different realities, but they're all the same one. It's just depending on the person or on the viewpoint of the person.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
so what it means, if I were to present someone with a painting, for example, since I paint, if I were to present them with a painting and it was somebody that had an aversion towards a certain color and the painting had that color, their reaction would be a certain one. Another person who maybe loves that color would think it was the most beautiful thing they saw. And they're both right. None of them are wrong. It's just a matter of how they're viewing it. It's a matter of point of view, really.
Yeah. So, how does somebody start stepping into this? Is there a process? Should they be journaling? Is this meditation? Is this practice? I mean, what are the
Well,
first steps to really honing in on this shift?
yeah, well, the first thing is like I was saying before, just realizing where you're at. Like at any moment in the day or at any moment that you become aware during the day, just realizing, okay, is my mind in what I'm doing right now, or is my brain thinking about what I didn't do this morning, or thinking about what I'm gonna have for dinner? Yeah. So that's the first thing that needs to happen. To At any moment in time, try to realize if you're in the present or if you're not in the present. If you're not in the present, then there are some things you can do to get back into the present. And all of them have to do with your getting back to the physical aspect of your body. So what can that can mean? Just feeling your hips, how they are on the chair, if you're sitting down, or your feet on the ground. Or it could mean just focusing on something that is right in front of you, or focusing on your breath. So all these practices that you were mentioning, meditation is one that helps a lot. Journaling also helps a lot, because when you're doing those things, you're focusing your mind on a particular action or a particular reaction of your body. It's not focusing your mind on thoughts of the present or of the past. So that's the main thing. I can't hear you for some reason.
Thank you. I know you work a lot with younger folks.
Yes.
What is the benefit of somebody learning this at an early age?
Well, the main benefits of somebody learning this when they're younger is that they don't have to go through a whole lot of their life thinking that they are at the mercy of the universe, but realizing that they have the power to decide what they're going to do in the future. And in part of that is also realizing that they have the power to change their surroundings. They're not stuck in their surroundings. They can take whatever they want to learn from there and transform it in a way that is positive for them. So that's one way that I see, especially when we're talking about teenagers that are already heading into what am I going to do in university, what am I going to be for the rest of my life, like opening the view for them that there is a lot that they can do that is not only limited by what they thought or what they have been told they're able to do. That's the main benefit I see in it. And when people are young, they have less baggage usually on them. And so it's easier for them to grasp the concepts and they don't resist them so much.
Yeah. So what would be the benefit of, I guess, parents
Mhm.
really um, investing in something like this for their, is it teenagers? I'm assuming
Yeah,
teenagers.
teenagers or young adults, because actually this is something that affects also people that are already in university or have just come out of university. Sometimes they're still feeling very much like they have limited options in front of them, and it's the idea to expand it. So the main benefit is not only does when the child or the young person realizes that they are in control of their life, that also improves their relationship with their parents, because now they are taking responsibility. They start taking responsibility for how they're experiencing things. So when you're taking responsibility, it's not going to be, oh, mother, you made me this way. You know how some kids say, it's because of you, I'm suffering, I'm not able to do it, I'm not able. And then realizing, yes, the mother maybe or the father maybe was not the optimal, but there is the option always to just say, okay, I'm going to do my thing anyway,
Yeah.
regardless of what you think. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any client testimonials or any stories of maybe some shifts that you've seen in your career of doing this?
Well, the shifts I have seen mostly in the young people, the main shift I have seen is that they are feeling excited about thinking about other things that are not only school. And this is, I'm talking about teenagers specifically. And in terms of adults that I've worked with, it has to do more with realizing that there are a lot more paths to achieve what they want to achieve, and not only one. That if you encounter the brick wall, there are many ways to get around the brick wall. And some of the ways maybe is just constructing your ladder to get over the brick wall and jump to the other side. Sometimes you just have to find out what the ladder would be made of. But there are many ways in which you can achieve that. And but the main benefits that the people that have worked with me always encounter is that regardless of what I try for them, they all end up with a lot more self-confidence. So it's a overall, whenever, even if I'm trying to get them to lose weight, then at the end, it's like, what did you get? Oh no, I feel a lot more confident that I can do whatever. Okay, so I guess that's that's my strength, is just to get people to improve in their self-confidence regardless of what they're setting out to do. Yeah.
Beautiful. When well, I guess my question is, we have a ton of people watching live right now.
Yes.
They're obviously enjoying everything you're saying. They're obviously resonating. We're getting a really good idea of what you teach. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what exactly do you do?
Okay.
Is this one-on-one? Is this virtual? Is there courses? Is this programs? And then who should be reaching out to you? Who do you help?
Okay, so what I offer, I have communications with people either virtually if they're far away. I have a couple of customers that are in Hong Kong, so I do that virtually, and that's one-on-one. But I also offer certain programs, specific programs that the person can choose if they want to do it with a group of people or if they can do it one-on-one, because not everybody interacts well with a group of people. Some people get very intimidated when they see others, and while other people, when they're in a group, they actually thrive. So, and with the young people, I prefer to do it in person. I think that there is a more attention. And when I'm talking about young people in person, I'm meaning under 20. I prefer to do it in person. If they're over 20, then it's a different matter, because they have a little bit more capacity to pay attention, especially because there's the the money motivation. When they're under 20, many times they're not the ones paying for the program. So they might, they might be like, well, I'm doing this just to please my parents. And so they won't really pay attention if it's online. But if it's over 20, when there is something at stake for them, or also they have like a clearer vision of what it is exactly that they already tried to achieve and they were not able to do it, then it's easier online because they'll pay attention all the time when you're speaking. But I do both things. And there are some specific programs that are anytime between 8 weeks, 6 weeks, up to 3 months. And the length of time it takes somebody to go through the program is also, I'm very flexible, because some people struggle more to get on the sessions. So I have the flexibility that if they need a little bit more time in between, then I give them the time.
Awesome. And where can people find you on social media, website?
So on social media, I'm on Facebook. My tag is my name. You know how I was talking about the typos that I make? Apparently I made a typo on my name here, and after the O, it should be an H and not an N.
Oh.
So that's a little bit of a, look, I can edit it. Let me edit it 1 second. No, when I put it correctly. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't edit it there. We'll edit it later.
Yeah. So it was so my tag on Facebook is Daniela Dohnert, like my name. And on Instagram or on TikTok is life_coach_DDM.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. And you hang out predominantly on Facebook?
Sorry?
You hang out predominantly on Facebook?
I do. I put a little bit on everything. I go on TikTok is a little bit newer for me, but on Facebook, because I have been there longer, since it has been around longer, then I have them. I have the accounts linked, the Facebook and the Instagram account, so I can cross-reference between them.
Gorgeous. All right. Well, this has been fabulous. I so appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, sharing so much amazing information with us. As far as those of you listening live, if you're resonating with Daniela and all the goodness that she's teaching, her website is in a clickable link in the description below, wherever you are watching us at. So be sure to connect with her and look her up on Facebook. Check out her website. Any closing thoughts, Daniela, as we kind of wrap up here?
Well, the first thing is that I hope whoever watched and is interested in finding out more gets in contact with me, whether it is just for an interaction or for whatever you guys might find interesting. And I would also like to know everybody's thoughts. Whoever watched it, I would love to know what they think, if there is anything that really resonates with them, or if there's anything else that they would like to see, that they think maybe they would like to see me do. I always like to know what people would like to see me do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I know I took a ton of notes. For those of you listening live, thank you so much for being here to the very end. For those of you listening on the replay, remember to follow, remember to like, remember to share. Once again, I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. I invite you to join our amazing community, Her Nation, where we continue to have conversations just like this one to uplift you every step of the way. Until